Twilight Gets a Puppy. By TDR. Chapter 30. Friendship is Puppies. Episode 2. Part 6. The Castle of the Two Sisters, Windsor Castle Ruins. Ross. Twilight shouted, cursing to herself as the group looked around outside for any sign of the moon dog. Where the buck did he go? The door to the castle was still shut when the group investigated it, so the fleeing shadow bolt must not have gone that way. Darling, not to add to your worries, but I don't think we have time to search for him at the moment. Rarity interrupted. It is nearly 2 in the afternoon and the sun has yet to even be hinted at. Twilight frowned and flattened her ears to her skull. You're right, Rarity, we need to find the elements of harmony as quickly as we can. Ross is a big boy, he can take care of himself for a little while. Not to rain on that parade, Twilight further, but before we go on, something's been nagging me since we started this. Applejack stated. What's that? Twilight blinked curiously. Has your brother been acting strange on this trip? I don't know enough about him to say one way or another, but he's seemed pretty aggressive to me at times. Applejack commented, tilting her hat back a little with a hoof. What? Well, maybe a bit, but he always gets aggressive when protecting me or Spike. Twilight frowned. Yeah, well, he was pretty gung-ho about kicking some flank and helping me out. Ow. Fluttershy. What? Rainbow Dash snapped, glaring over at the butter yellow mare who was trying to treat the cut on her ear. Do you have to do that now? Sorry, but I don't want it getting infected. Fluttershy meeped, dabbing some iodine on the wound before carefully wrapping Rainbow's ear in gauze. Where did you even get that stuff? Dash sighed. From Pinkie. She has a medical kit in her mane. Fluttershy responded. Of course she does. Dash grumbled. I'm still not following what you're trying to say, Applejack. Twilight stated coldly. I ain't saying nothing. I am asking if he seemed off. Applejack sighed. Look, them little glowing balls on the ends of his ears and tail look a lot like the moon without the mare in it. She points up at the glowing white orb in the sky with a hoof. You yourself said Princess Celestia was the first to call him a moon dog, and ya also were saying ya think the princess knew Nightmare Moon was gonna come back. Black Snooty. Rainbow Dash corrected, as Pinkie giggled. And she didn't tell ya nothing about her. Ain't hard to believe she ain't telling ya something about a pup ya magically called into existence when you was a foal. Applejack concluded. I don't like being suspicious of anyone, but that's been nagging me, so that's why I asked if he was being odd. You're bout the only one of us who'd know if we should be worried about him maybe working for the enemy or not. Twilight went silent, her ears drooped as she thought back over the day. She hadn't really noticed anything off about him. There was the moment he tried to get her to go back, but he could have just been worried she would get hurt. That was pretty normal. Still, her mind lingered on the moment in the town hall where she thought his eyes seemed full of stars. I don't think so. Twilight hesitated. All right, it's fine, Sugar Cube. Ain't no one wanna suspect your brother of being in cahoots with N. Black Snooty. Pinkie Pie shouted. Dang it, Pinkie, shush. Applejack chided. Anyway, you know him best, so if ya think something's up, let us know. I know how easy it is to trust family. You say he's fine, then he's fine. But done you hesitate if something ain't fine, or this could get real ugly. Your brother could cause a lot of problems if he's against us. Rationally, I understand your caution. Emotionally, I don't like it at all, but I do understand it. There is too much we don't know about what he is to disregard anything. I know better than anyone, as I've spent years looking into it. But I won't believe he would willingly turn on us. Twilight reluctantly admitted. That's fine, I hate that I felt I had to bring it up, but I'd rather apologize later if it's nothing than not bring it up now and have something happen. Now then, let's find those element things and put an end to this. Applejack nodded, pushing at the door. Afore we have to find out for sure. Asterisk. Wow. Rainbow Dash uttered, looking up at the massive hall of the castle. Even with the ravages of time and the wilds against it, the castle was still an imposing place. The roof in this area had long since blown off in a storm, leaving the night sky in full view above them, a chilling reminder of what awaited forever if they failed. The large windows of the room were destroyed and plants creeped into the building, hugging the walls and pillars. Still, this was only an outbuilding, a back door into the castle that the public was not likely supposed to ever see. Which made it odd that there was a massive statue in the middle of the room. Twilight blinked as she looked up at the statue curiously. Plant life covered it, and it seemed to be a large planet with rotating arms that circled with 6 smaller moons around it. The arms were fixed and the large planet featureless, though the 6 moons. 5 moons? She could have sworn there were 6 orbs when she walked in. Anyway, the 5 orbs had gem-shaped designs on them. She had seen this device before back in the library. She knew exactly what it was. Seriously? Twilight sighed, rubbing her temple with a hoof. Rarity questioned. What is it? This statue was in a drawing in the book about the elements of harmony. Twilight explained. So these are the elements? Applejack questioned. Mighty convenient. Screams trap to me. Rainbow Dash muttered. The statue's too new. Pinkie Pie explained, pronking up to poke at the base of it. The rock around the base looks like some kind of cement was used to glue it down, and the whole thing's newer than the flagstones are. The others looked at the pink mare curiously. Did you miss my comment earlier about a rock farm? Pinkie Pie asked. 'Cause I kinda hinted that I lived on a rock farm. You know, a place they farm rocks. It's not that new though. See the white streaks in the stone? That's caused from years of bird droppings on stone. Even rain won't wash it away completely. Fluttershy pointed out. There's a few small wren nests in the crook of the arm over there too. And there's a series of mud dauber wasp nests underneath the main globe. It has been here at least since the spring. So it's not a trap. Well, no sense leaving them up there. Rainbow Dash stated, flying up and picking up the first orb with her hooves. Twilight winced, though aside from the sound of stone rasping over stone as they were lifted, there was nothing else. Fluttershy flew up to help Rainbow Dash, blinking as she picked up an orb and flew it down. Oh, this is very light. Fluttershy commented. It's pumice. Pinkie Pie pointed out as she counted the orbs. There's only 5. Where's the 6th? Rainbow Dash demanded as she deposited the last stone on the ground and did another fly around the statue to check, knocking off the plants from the large globe. Is this it? I don't think so. The book said that when the 5 are present, a spark will cause the 6th to appear. Twilight explained. So should I go gather some clouds or something? Rainbow Dash asked, looking up at the sky. Might take a minute to get enough together for some lightning. It's pretty clear out here now. I don't think that's that kinda spark they meant, Rainbow. Applejack stated. Any ideas, Twilight? I might have something. I need to run through a few spells and I don't know what will happen if there's some sort of defense. Twilight stated as she laid down before the orbs. You might want to give me some space just in case. I have my shield, but it's easier to use it just on me than a bunch of ponies. Alright. Come on y'all, let's have a look outside and see if we can figure out where Ross went. Applejack stated, heading to the door, the others somewhat reluctantly following her. Don't blow yourself up now, okay? Rainbow Dash called back with a smirk. And watch out for Black Snooty. Pinkie Pie called. Darling, I think that joke has run its course. Rarity rolled her eyes. But it's so much fun to say, Pinkie Pie pouted. Twilight watched as they left before turning her full attention to the orbs. Her horn glowed lightly as she ran a number of scanning spells over them, looking for any hints that they were anything other than balls of rock. She could feel something in them from the scan, but nothing she could identify at first. Her ears flattened to her head as she heard the wind pick up. Of all the times for the weather to pick up, seriously, if that was Rainbow Dash. Twilight opened her eyes and jerked back with a start. A dark blue vortex of magic had formed before her and had swept up the stones, spinning them around in the air. Gaya! Twilight cried out, hearing shouting outside as the others heard her. With the scanning spell still going, she felt the first parts of a teleportation spell and panicked. Rising up to her hooves, she leapt into the vortex so as not to lose the stones. The others rushed into the room just as the vortex vanished, taking Twilight and the elements of harmony with it. Where did she go? Where did she go? Pinkie Pie cried out, hopping around in a panic. Twilight! Applejack called, looking around fanatically. Over there! Rarity called out, looking out a window to the main area of the castle, the windows there flickering with light. Come on! Rainbow Dash shouted and rushed towards the doors at the back of the room, the group charging deeper into the castle. Asterisk. Twilight winced, coughing as the dust gathered by the whirlwind cleared. Looking around, she noticed she was in what seemed like some sort of throne room. It was surprisingly similar to the one in Canterlot, though the tattered banners and statues in this room showed both the sun and moon in their designs, unlike Canterlot's, which were solely sun designs. An evil laugh brought her out of her study session, and her gaze was drawn to the tall black-furred figure on the dais where the throne should be. The armored mare cackled, looking down at her with her green cat-like eyes and a fanged grin crossing her face. Twilight winced as lightning crackled around the mare. At her hooves were the 5 elements of harmony. Twilight blinked, thinking quickly, her eyes narrowed as she rose up, stamping her hoof to charge, her horn leveled at Nightmare Moon in an antiquated unicorn dueling stance she had read about. If Nightmare Moon was as old as she claimed, this might work, if not, well. You're kidding, right? Nightmare Moon sneered, the expression fading from her muzzle as Twilight charged. Without another word, Nightmare Moon moved off the dais with a stamp of her hoof to accept the duel, rushing forward toward the smaller mare. If this one wished to die honorably, she could grant that. Just before the galloping pair met, Twilight's horn flared and she teleported across the room, landing between the elements, her horn lighting up again. Come on, come on! Twilight muttered as the stones began to glow. Nightmare Moon snarled and shifted to a shadow form, launching herself back at the dais, reforming just as Twilight screamed out, and was flung back across the room from a spark made by the stones. The 5 rocks lifted in the air around Nightmare Moon, the black alicorn starting to panic as the stones glowed. The effect didn't last long, however, and after only a few seconds the stones dropped back down to the ground with a clack. The pair of them looked at the dull, lifeless stones curiously a moment before Nightmare Moon began to laugh again. The dark alicorn reared up as she cackled, bringing down her hooves and shattering the 5 orbs to shards. Twilight's expression fell as she took in the sight of the destroyed elements. You little fool! Thinking you could defeat me? Nightmare Moon ranted. Now you will never see your princess or your son again. The night shall last forever. Twilight had been listening, though her panic had only grown more as she noticed they were not the only ones in the chamber. Standing behind Nightmare Moon just off the edge of the pedestal was her brother. Ross was simply standing there calmly looking at the black alicorn. And his eyes were filled with stars. Author's note: this chapter was supposed to be a bit shorter, and end with Twilight vanishing. The rest of it after that was supposed to be part of the next chapter, but I found that this cliffhanger of an ending was better than the other cliffhanger of the ending. Good news though, the next chapter should be the end for the 2nd episode. End author's note. End chapter 30. Friendship is Puppies. Episode 2. Part 6.